Hi, my name is Joey Paquet. I'm going to be your instructor for COMP345 this semester. This is fall 2020. This is section D of COMP345, Advanced Program Design with C++. So this video here is going to be an introduction to the course, especially how this is going to work online. So I have designed a few slides which you can actually find on my webpage. If I can find the browser. So if you want to find my webpage, you just basically type my name in Google. And then you're going to come, let's say, to one of my pages here. That brings you to my website. Okay, so I'm not using Moodle. So I have my own web page that I maintain myself. I find it's much more efficient for me. However, as I will mention later in this video, we're going to have to use Moodle for the exams because we're going to use COL. So I'll come back to that later. So, okay, so you go to my web page here, you go to teaching, and then you have 345. This is the web page I maintain for this course. So you're going to have all the assignments, project description. I'm going to post a video later about this today. So all the slides are here. As soon as I have some new videos, I'm going to post them here. They're all going to be posted on my YouTube channel. So if you go to this link here, it's going to bring you to my YouTube channel. All the videos are going to be there in a folder. So all videos are going to be posted. And then as I'm going to explain later, there's going to be also some regular lecture time where we're going to have some discussions. So I'm going to assume during the lecture time, you already listened to the videos. So let's go and if you want to have the slides and you click here, I already started a PowerPoint presentation of this slide set. So here we go. So this is essentially what I'm going to do today is to present the course outline. So these slides here, if you go at the bottom of the course webpage, you're going to find the course outline. These slides are basically showing exactly what's in the course outline, same information. So who am I? My name is Joey Paquet. I've been a professor here for now more than 20 years. So my teaching topics are essentially on programming languages, compiler design, so essentially how to design programming languages and how to use them to develop software. My research topics also revolve around the same notions, how to implement programming languages, especially for distributed computing. So this is the web address of my web. This is my web address. This is my email address, especially this semester as it is online. I'm not going to be in my office physically. So if you want to contact me personally, you just use email. I have office hours. If you go to the course webpage, you have a link on the top that says, that gives you a link to the Zoom meeting room that's going to be used on Wednesday from 10 to 12. So that's office hours that are outside of the regular teaching, but it is still for you, the students in my courses. If you have some questions, you don't want to ask questions in public, in the online with your fellow students, just come to my office hours and I'll be there every Wednesday from 10 to noon. So this is the course description according to the calendar. We're trying very hard to teach this, but you have to understand this is a generic description. There are some topics that we cover more or less. There are some others, like, for example, concurrency. We chose to not have it in the course. So many of those things are here, but we put emphasis on how to properly use the C++ language. should not expect that this is going to be a course that's going to be teaching you about the latest developments of C++. There's going to be some of it, but that's not the goal of the course, to teach you the latest developments. It's a course to make you a good programmer in C++. As will become very clear during the semester, C++ is very different from the language that you're probably used to, which is Java, that we teach in the introductory programming courses. The thing is that Java it was made to actually make the programmer's life easier. Not necessarily that programming is an easy business, but Java was made so that programming does not assume that you understand exactly what is happening behind the scenes. So for example, in Java, you have a garbage collection that automatically takes care of the memory consumed by each of the variables that you are manipulating in your program. In C++, it's not the case. You are in charge of managing everything. So it's just one of the many examples why C++ require, if you want to properly use C++, you need to understand what's happening behind the scenes, whereas Java is kind of shielding you from these details. It's very convenient, but also there's an automation that is happening, for example, in the garbage collection, that is not a desirable feature. For example, if you want to do real-time programming, developing a real-time application, you don't use Java because it does not, it's not predictable, because the garbage collection is not predictable. So C++ allows the programmer to have much more control about what exactly the program is doing, but it comes at a cost. So in order to properly use it, you must understand how it is actually physically working behind the scenes. Okay. So why is C++ relevant? Because there's a lot of C++ code. C++ is a very good language to implement very specific programs, like for example, like computer device drivers, audio video processing, control systems. These are all areas, if you go in the industry and work in these areas, almost automatically you'll be working with C++. There's a lot of C++ code out there. That's one of the things that makes C++ relevant. If you are to become, a programmer and you don't know C++, you are going to have to encounter some C++ code. And that's why it's a good asset for you to be able to deal with it. Okay, not necessarily you're going to start a new project with C++, but there is going to be some legacy code that you're going to have to deal with. That is C++ code. So C++ is, because of the total control you have over everything, it is a language that enables you to develop applications in these domains, which require a lot of optimization and very precise control onto what is actually happening with your program. So in this course, basically, we're teaching you how to become a good programmer using the C++ language. So we're going to be teaching you in the lectures the concepts using examples. And then we're going to basically give you a project. It's going to be divided in assignments, which I'm going to talk to you about that later here in this video. So teaching you the concepts in the lecture time, and then in the lab time, going over the details of some of the examples shown in class, in the lectures, and then give you a project basically to practice the use of the C++ language. That's how this course is organized. So you're going to have a project which is divided in assignments. So the project's going to be done in teams of 5. I used to have teams of 3 and then teams of 4, and now I have teams of 5. Why such large teams? Because of the number of students that we have. You may know that, for example, in this particular section, there's 150 students now. I used to have like 60. So as the number of students is increasing, that puts more load on the markers which are marking your assignments. So the markers have a specific number of hours for which they are paid for, and we cannot ask them to, it doesn't scale at some point to have individual assignments. Okay, you might think it does, but it doesn't. So that's why we have now teams of 5. So each of the different assignments is going to be divided in 5 parts. So you're going to be able to somehow assign different parts to the different people in your team. Also, as you will do each of the assignments, you will have to do a demonstration. So there's going to be a few weeks for you to develop the code for each of the different parts for different assignments. And then at a certain date, you're going to have to do a demonstration. It's going to be done using a Zoom shared screen feature with the marker. The marker is going to have a very precise list of things that he's looking or she's looking for. And you're going to have this list also, and it's hopefully going to go boom, 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 boom over the list. And then it's going to be just a few minutes. So you have to come prepared for the presentations for your assignments. As you may know, there are some graduate attributes because programs are accredited, accreditation procedures or requirements somehow tell us that we must teach some soft skills that people may call, they are so-called graduate attributes. So the soft skills or graduate attributes are introduced in each of the courses, particularly core courses. But this course has some graduate attributes associated to it. So I'm going to go very quickly here over each of these. So graduate attribute number 1 is knowledge base. So of course, we're assuming that you are gathering some knowledge from this course, and we are to actually test whether or not you have absorbed this knowledge. Most of this is evaluated during exams. As you may have seen from the course title, there is a design element in this course. The way we actually teach design here is that every time I'm giving you an assignment, I'm telling you there are different parts. So yes, this assignment is about developing certain features as a whole, but I'm also telling you it must be divided in different parts, and I'm telling you what should be the role of each of the different parts. Okay. So that's how, and each, of course, each of these parts should be working together to achieve a common goal. So that's how design is introduced in this course. Normally, design also may assume that there's an open-ended sense to it. Here, we're not going to be much open-ended. I'm going to be basically telling you, here are the modules. Here's the general goal that this assignment must be doing. It should be divided in each of these modules. Here's the role of each of these modules. That's how design is going to be introduced. Use of tools. C++ is a tool that you are using. So of course, if you are able to properly use C++ and an IDE or a compiler, these are all tools that you are using. Especially in C++, the use of libraries is very important. So there's going to be a few libraries that we point at here. It's important for you to realize that in real life, there's thousands of C++ libraries. So knowing how to use libraries is a very important aspect, even though in this course we use only a few. As I hinted at before, you have teamwork. Well, graduate attribute number 6 is about how you basically deliver a product, okay? Either as an individual or as a team. So how we are, of course, as you are delivering each of your assignments and the project, you are delivering something that actually works. So that's how we are evaluating this, especially that you're working as a team. In real life, nobody is a loner programmer. There's a myth about that sometimes people think that a programmer is a loner that works alone. It never works like this. If you think it works like this, you should change your mind. Okay, communication skills. It's actually a very important aspect of programming that as you write code, that people are able to understand your code. Not only that there should be some comments in your code, but also that your code is written so that it's made to be understandable. So that's actually a communication skills, that's a skill that is embedded inside of what you are producing. It's not necessarily that you're talking about it, it's that not only that you're able to talk about it and to discuss with your teammates or to present what you did to your boss or client, it's also that the code that you're sharing with people is easy to understand. So the documentation inside of the code is going to be graded, as well as you're going to have to do an oral presentation for each of your assignments. Now, for the evaluation, so there's different components. There's going to be exams and assignments. So there's going to be a midterm exam worth 20%. It's going to be a final exam that is divided into a traditional written exam for 35%. And then a programming exam is going to happen in the lab, as I'm going to explain later, for 15%. So the 20 and the 35 are traditional written exam. In this semester, these are going to be online exams, as I'm going to explain later. And then you have 3 assignments, which each of them are worth 10% for a total of 100%. Special rules that's very important for you to understand. You must have, in order to pass the course, you must have over or equal to 50%. You must have over equal to 50% on final examination and over or equal to 50% on the assignments. Okay, so we really want to make sure that people are good at demonstrating in an exam that they master the concepts, as well as being able to have practical abilities in the assignments. Okay. So if you have below 50% in any of these, it's going to be a red flag here. Okay. Now for the letter grading, so let me explain how I do it. So essentially, you have 100% here, and you have 50% here. If you're here, then you fail. Okay. And then somewhere in the middle here is the class average. For some reason, very often my class average ends up being around. I'm not saying it will in your case, but it turns out that it very often goes around 75%. Okay. So what I do when I want to determine the letter grades at the end is I compute the class average, numeric average, and then basically I draw a bell curve like this. And this somehow, where the class average here is the B minus range, okay? And then I actually draw these here, and then here, for example, you have A plus, and here you have D minus, and this is basically how I do the letter grade distribution, okay? Now, some people might say, oh, he's curving the grades. Yes, I'm using a curve to determine the relationship between letters and numbers or numeric grades, but it's different from other profs might actually be using a formula to change your numeric grade so it fits a fixed letter grade scheme, okay? So your letter grade at the end is kind of proportional to, it's determined according to the class average. So every time I'm going to give you some grades, some results, I'm going to tell you what's the class average. So it's going to give you a very good idea of how you are doing, what you can expect at the end. Okay. But I'm never going to change the numeric grades that you have according to, for example, if I have a very high midterm, I'm not going to apply a formula on the numeric grades and, for example, bring down all the grades. Never going to do that, okay? If you have some questions about this, please don't hesitate from coming to talk to me either in class or in my office hours, okay? So how we're going to do some online teaching here. So first, the lectures. So it's going to be an asynchronous part, which are going to be the videos, such as this one. I'm posting videos, and you basically listen to these videos whenever you want or whenever you have some time. Very important that you actually listen to the videos before the actual lecture time, which is going to be this synchronous part as shown in the slide here. In the synchronous part, this is going to happen during regular lecture time. So basically, I'm going to create a Zoom meeting for every lecture time, and people are going to come, and then I'm going to basically be discussing the material that were provided to you before in the current week's lectures. Okay. There's going to be asynchronous. You listen to the videos before the lecture, and then during the lecture time, you come and then we discuss this material. It's very important that you come prepared during this lecture time, so that you provide me some questions as to what is not clear. Can you elaborate on this and that, and so on. If you don't provide me with some questions, it's likely that it's going to be very quick, and I'm it's not going to run for the entire time. Okay, if I'm saying my own things and you don't have questions, then I'm going to be like, okay, so everybody's fine, so let's end this meeting. But I would really like better if you come with some questions and we have some real discussions based on your feedback that you give me. For the labs, it's essentially going to be exactly the same. So each of the lab instructors, I'm going to ask each of the lab instructors to do one video for each of them. The videos are going to be posted for each of the lab sessions. You're going to be given the videos about the labs in advance, and during the lab time, your lab instructor is going to be there to essentially discuss with you the material discussed in the video. So basically the video is going to, for each, if you go to the web page, you see at the far end of the right side of the screen, you'll see the lab material. So these are essentially folders that contain some code. Many of these codes are examples that were discussed in class, for example. There are some additional examples, but anyway, so all these examples are going to be discussed in the lab sessions. So what are the objectives of the labs? Go into more details about the examples. In the lectures, I'm going to be presenting you some concepts and then give you an example. So I'm going to somehow go quickly over this example, especially that now it's a video. I can't have interaction with you as I'm giving the video. Possibly I'm going too fast. Some people might have some questions. One of the ways for you to have your questions answered is to go to the lab and ask questions about the examples. So basically the labs are there to go in more details about these examples. Okay. You can also come to the lecture and ask me questions about the examples, of course. Okay. In the labs, there's also going to be sometimes more examples being given for the same concepts that were covered in class. And another goal or objective of the labs is to help you for the assignments and the project. So if you have some questions, then go to the lab and ask the lab instructor. Very important to understand is also in the week number 12 of the labs, there's going to be the programming examination. That is worth 15% of the mark. So essentially, I'm going to give you some questions. You come to the lab, you are given some questions in a folder, and then it's going to be basically do some programming, and then by the end of this lab, then you should submit your answers. I'm going to come back to that later. Sorry. So for the Samson project, how is it going to work online? So one of the things that's important to understand is that you're not going to be able to meet physically, at least not at the university. I don't recommend that you go and meet physically with your teammates for obvious reasons in this pandemic. It's not going to be expected that you meet physically with each other in any way, okay? So the labs are going to be online labs. So you will not have actually access to the physical labs. So that creates some additional problem because you're not going to be able to meet the people. For example, if your habit is to share a code using USB sticks and so on, you're not going to be able to do that. So highly recommend, if you can know how to use an online versioning system such as GitHub or Bitbucket, that you right away from the start establish a project folder on, for example, GitHub, and then you share your code on this. Possible some of you don't know how to use that. You have to understand this is a tremendous asset for you if you know how to use such a tool like this. Almost all the companies out there that are developing software are using such a versioning system solution. So I would suggest that you try to form teams. If you don't know how to use such a solution, that you go into a team and where there's at least one person that knows how to do that. At least you have somebody to show you how to use it. Okay, so highly recommend. I cannot say this is obligatory because this is not one of the roles of this course. Okay. Maybe the lab instructors are going to be able to give you some pointers, but they're not going to provide you with a very detailed description of how to use it. Okay. The demonstrations, as I said before, are going to be done online using Zoom and a shared screen feature of Zoom. Very important that you come very well prepared to these assignment demonstrations. It's going to be very quick. You're going to have only a few minutes to give your presentation, following a very strict list of requirements to demonstrate. For the examinations, this is going to be online examinations. All examinations are going to be online. So for the midterm and final are going to be using COL. So that means basically I'm going to have to set up the Moodle for you to write both of these exams. There's going to be no invigilation. As you certainly know, there's going to be a lot of debate as to whether or not it's good to have online invigilation. There's technical problems. People are not happy that it's an intrusion on their privacy. There's all sorts of problems, as you may know. We had a lot of discussions between profs and between the university and the profs and so on. There's been a whole lot of discussions between ourselves about that. The bottom line here is that as this is a large class, there cannot be invigilation. It could be, but the solutions that we have at this point, they're not practical for large classes. So that's why I chose, or we chose in this course, to have no invigilation. That, of course, poses a problem versus cheating. So we're going to have some solutions in place to deter or discourage people from cheating. If you ever have hear people about cheating, I would like for you to tell me, not tell me who is cheating, but how is the cheating is happening, so that I can actually react to it and try to deter the cheating. Okay. Again, this is not about punishing individuals. This is for me to be aware of how people are cheating and how to find solutions to prevent the cheating. Because I mean, if you choose to cheat, to me personally, as a person, you're cheating yourself, and you're not going to be able to cheat at work. So that's not a good strategy for you to learn. Okay. However, it's not fair for the students that are not cheating, and for that reason, as people want to have a good grade, they see other people cheating, even though this person might not be at prone to cheating, they might decide, well, I have to cheat because it's unfair and I'm going to have a bad grade if I don't cheat. Okay, that's what I want to avoid. So if you hear that people are cheating, just come to me and explain to me what they are doing. Again, I don't want to know who is cheating. I just want to know what is happening. Okay. If nobody wants to talk about it, no problem. I'll figure it myself. But if you want to have a constructive discussion about that with me, go ahead. Again, it's not about identifying people or delation. I don't want to go there. Okay. So, no invigilation. The midterm examination is going to be during lecture time in the mid of the semester. If you go to the webpage, the course webpage, you're going to find the exact date where this is going to happen. This is going to be during one of the lecture time. For the final examination, it's going to be during the final examination week. And as I just mentioned before, there's going to be an online programming final examination during week 12 of the lab. So essentially, you're going to come to the lab. As soon as you go to the lab, I'm going to post the questions. You get the questions. The questions are all going to be about writing code, fixing code, adding to code. Basically, you write the code and then put this in a folder, zip the folder, and then submit it, and then it's graded. So that's how it's going to go. We're going to have a practice run for this exam the week before or in week 11. So everything is going to be online. You don't have to physically be there for any exam, for any of the lab, for any of the lectures. Okay. So these are sources that I have identified for this course. There's no official textbook for the course that is mandatory. If I can identify one textbook that is the best one for the ultimate book that you may want to have that talks about C++ is the second one here, the C++ programming language by Bjarne Stroustrup. Stroustrup is the designer of C++, and he's basically talking to in great length in this book. The particularity of it is that it's very dense. It's a very dense book. So if you are struggling with the concepts, you're going to find this book is very cryptic. Okay. So if you're having problems with learning how to program using C++ at more of a basic level, I would suggest that you go more with the first one, Daniel Liang, Introduction to Programming with C++. That's essentially your introduction to programming, but with C++. Okay. There's also Walter Savage, items 3 and 4. Walter Savage wrote books about how to use C++. These are much more, along with Daniel Liang, these are much more typical programming textbooks, okay? Which the Bjarne Stroustrup's book, you can't say this is a textbook you use in a lecture. Okay? It's more about explaining what is C++ and how does it work. It's not teaching you things, it's just explaining. Not that this is, to me, it's an absolutely wonderful book, but it is very dense and can be cryptic if you don't understand some of the concepts. Okay, so talking about other sources, so there is very often what people do when they have problems, or as people are programming, I myself do that, have a problem, how do I do X, Y, Z? So I basically type X, Y, Z and Google, and then I find the answer to my question. Now, this is a very good, very pervasive way that people actually do it. The problem is that we're dealing here with the internet, okay? So there is a lot of information that you're likely to find that is not very useful or may even be flat wrong, okay? So if you want to use the internet to solve advanced, or to find answers to your advanced questions, if you want to properly using all the information or any of the information that you find on the internet. You must have your own sound judgment to judge what is good information and what is bad information and what is wrong, because you will find things very often that are wrong as explanations, for example, on the internet. Most notable thing is place is Stack Overflow. So very good information that you will find if you are able to judge what is good and what is not good. Okay, it's going to give you the answer to all of your questions. You will find it on Stack Overflow. But the nature of Stack Overflow, somebody asks a question and then people, regular people, basically provide you with an answer to your question. It's possible that one of those regular people is wrong and is writing an answer. So if you don't know what is wrong and right, then you're likely to read this answer, which looks like, oh, that's very simple, but that's wrong, okay? Of course, there's ranking of the answers. So if you're going with Stack Overflow, what you want to do is to look for a certain question. That's got to be precisely the question you're looking for. Sometimes that's not that easy. When you find answers, you have to look at those that are ranked very high. Those that are ranked lower or negative are likely to be actually wrong. So all this to say, when you use the internet to get some information about programming, you have to have a certain judgment as to, you have to be able to yourself have some judgment as to what is good answer and what is a wrong, bad answer or wrong answer. Very often also, the answers you will find are very cryptic or dense. That leads me to talk about these here. So that's basically, if you type a certain question about C++, very often you would be led to these websites here. These are actually websites that provide the official description of the C++ language and the evolution across different versions and standards and so on. And it goes very, very deeply in many cases about what is the exact meaning of a certain feature of C++, how it was implemented, how it evolved in time. So again, if what you're looking for is a simple answer to what you think is a simple question, very likely you will read the descriptions in these websites and you'll be just lost because it goes in so much details that you don't understand. Very, very nice place to learn advanced things, but if you're not advanced yet, it's not going to be very helpful. That's also the same idea with Stroustrop's book. If you know things, it's going to be the most wonderful book, but if you know not that much, it's going to be very confusing and not very helpful. Okay. So all this to say, there are very good, detailed, but dense information about the official language descriptions. And then there's Stack Overflow and different tutorials, which may help you, but the quality varies a lot depending on where you are looking for. So I'm giving you some links here in the slides. That's some of those that I've found were among the best. There's other things, I don't have shares in these things, but my experience shows me that this is one of the places where you can find reliable information and nicely explained, okay? So, okay, so that's it for this video. So for the next videos I'm going to post is going to be about the following of these slides here, which is the introduction to C++ itself. There's going to be also a video about the description of the project, which I'm going to post very soon. So I'll see you later.